to another episode of Well-Adjusted Mama. I'm your host, Dr. Laura Brayton, and today's guest is Alicia Diaz. Alicia is an Ayurvedic practitioner and thought leader in the area of women's health and spirituality. Her mission is to help women embrace their divine feminine essence, unlock their inner healing power, and be at home in their bodies. She has studied in India and the United States under the world-renowned Dr. Vasant Lad, Dr. Naram, and Dr. Claudia Welch, and uses the ancient wisdom of Ayurveda to help women easefully align their cycles and their bodies with the rhythms of nature. Her clients experience reduced menstrual pain, enhanced fertility, and ongoing daily rejuvenation, deep fulfillment, and vibrant energy. Her website is aliciadiaz.co. Welcome, Alicia.
Hi, Laura. Thank you.
I'm so excited to have you on the podcast today and to share your wisdom regarding Ayurveda and how it can be specifically how it can be so healing for women regarding our cycles and how that impacts every aspect of our life.
Absolutely. So happy to be here.
Cool. So I'm just really curious for you to share with our audience your personal story of how you discovered Ayurveda, and then just share with our audience a little bit about what Ayurveda is.
Sure. So I was introduced to Ayurveda. I was running a clinic, a complementary and alternative medical clinic in New York City, and was already really immersed in this idea of holistic approaches to health. But around that time, I had started experiencing my own increasingly debilitating health situations within my own body. And it kind of started as these whispers, like some discomfort around my cycle and some sensitivities to certain foods, and just increasingly feeling more tired and less rejuvenated when I woke up in the morning. And then I was just so busy and active, I kind of didn't hear all of those whispers, and they turned into shouts, and they got louder, and my body started having intense reactions to food, and I was really having a lot of digestive problems, and my fatigue had really taken over. I could have fallen asleep standing up when I was in the clinic, and just exhausted all the time, and I just started getting really intense cycle-related discomfort, where just a lot of bloating, really bad headaches that would last for days, migraines at times. And I noticed there was a kind of underlying thread that I started realizing. It was frustrating because I didn't have the tools in my current holistic practice to reverse or reduce any of this discomfort. But I did notice that my stress and anxiety levels were also ramping up, like I was having just a lot more tension in my body. And so I started looking into other methods of like yoga and meditation. And I started practicing yoga and meditating, and I took a yoga teacher training course to become a teacher so I could start teaching my patients at the time some of these methods, because they were really helping me feel more rejuvenated, but I still had all these underlying symptoms. And so when I was in yoga school, we had some workshops on Ayurveda, and I started just everything that was taught to me just was so natural. It just clicked, and something made sense, and I started self-studying, and I started taking workshops and courses in Ayurveda, and really started to feel relief for the first time. And I'll get into a little bit more of what that was in a second. But essentially, from there, I just knew that this was the system for me that was really going to shift everything for me. So that took me into taking time away from my profession at the time and just completely immersing myself for years in the study of Ayurveda. And I went to India, and I had all these amazing synchronicities with my mentors and doctors, and studied with them extensively for about 3 years, and then reintegrated, healed everything that I was previously describing. I had no more food reactions, tons of energy. Like, it cleared up so much energy. I just felt vibrant and alive again. And all of my symptoms of my cycle dissipated. No more headaches, no more losing all that time every month. And so the thing that really clicked and that made this system different than what I was previously practicing, and I'd say my knowledge has expanded, into the other areas of health that my background had grown, my background. And it's a system of holistic approach. It's a system of nature that teaches. So Ayurveda actually translates to mean the science of life. I know it's a hard one to pronounce, but it essentially means the science or the wisdom of life, and life as a whole, of life, of longevity, of fulfillment, of connectedness and alignment with nature. So Ayurveda it's an over 5,000-year-old medical system. It's actually a whole medical system that dates back over 5,000 years. And Ayurveda traditionally has all of the very many of the same branches of specialties of medicine that we had today. There's OBGYN and psychiatry and internal medicine and all of these different specialties that we know today in modern science. So it's really profound that over 5,000 years ago, these ancient Ayurvedic doctors and sages, wise beings, knew a lot of the same stuff and that we're starting to actually prove today with modern science. And it's essentially a system that looks through the lens of your unique individuality and how your unique body type is connected to the rhythms of nature around you. So it's one of the core foundational principles is that everything that exists in nature exists within your body. So in the same way that every single little cell in your body is an exact replica of the DNA of your body as a whole, you are a replica of all of nature, but you have a unique ratio of all of the elements that exist in nature inside of your body. And so to unlock and understand what your unique elements are and what you're predominant in and what is the current state of imbalance teaches you how to sync up with these natural laws and bring ease into your healing.
Beautiful.
So, yeah. And so once I, discovered that system and understood what my unique body type was, I understood why all of these other modalities that I had tried to heal my fatigue, to heal my menstrual pain, to heal my digestive pain, I understood why they weren't working. And it's not because they weren't valid, it's because I didn't have the context in which to apply them into my unique system. And so Ayurveda also gives you a context and understanding all of these different modalities that are available to us today, all of these different dietary programs, all of these different holistic healing tools. They are perfect. Every single one of them is perfect for somebody, but there's not a one-size-fits-all approach. And a lot of it comes back to this core of you are an embodiment of nature. You are following the rhythms of the sun every day and of the moon and of the seasons. And so it looks at how you are also in a continual dynamic dance with these rhythms outside, and it shows you how to unlock great health and fulfillment for you based on your ability to understand and apply this knowledge appropriately to your unique situation.
Mm-hmm. Wow. So cool. And obviously life-changing for you personally of how it impacted your health.
Absolutely.
Cool. So, you touched a little bit about, the nature and how that impacts a woman's health, or all of our health actually. Can you talk about how like a traditional lifestyle that American woman is living, how that might impact her menstrual cycle?
Awesome question. Yeah, this is huge. Lifestyle, when it comes to your menstrual cycle or preparing for conception, all of that, all of those rhythms of the female body. Mm-hmm. Lifestyle is everything. It's huge. It's everything. And if you look out in current modern society, plain as day that we're living a life of go, 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 and constant doing and constant striving. And what Eastern thought looks at calls the yin and yang balance. So yang is the energy of the outward moving external energy of doing. It's the daytime, it's the sun, it's the summertime, right? So it's this really outward, lots of energy outward. And the yin side of that, the reciprocal of that, is yin. It's nourishing, it's internal, it's rest, it's quiet. And it's associated with the nighttime. So just one way to think about it in terms of how your cycle sync up with these different rhythms and why that's important to your menstrual health or to your fertility is, what if you expected your body to stay awake every day, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week? Would you expect to have the same energy at the end of that week as if you had slept at night, like had rejuvenating sleep? Mm-hmm. The answer, I'm sure, across the board is no. So as women, we've been trained to have the same level of outward moving external energy every single day of the month, and in our doing, constant doing, and not deeply rejuvenating or having that yin balance where we let our bodies rejuvenate and build back up. That's one of the balance between that. The balance between rest and movement is one of these lifestyle pieces that is completely out of whack in modern society. That doesn't mean you can't get anything done. It just means, it just invites you to ask yourself the question, how much am I giving outside of myself, and how much time am I taking to really honor my rejuvenation? And that can look like a lot of different forms, but that's one of the basic core tenets of how these cycles impact. So a lot of it is the perception, and it's the approach to how we live life in general. So is your approach and how you live life expecting yourself to show up with the same amount of energy every day and go, 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 365 days a year or 28 days a month? When you have your cycle, are you just, stuffing a tampon in and trying to keep up with the masses? Or are you allowing yourself to rest and rejuvenate and be nurtured? So those are some of the questions to ask yourself in connection to how am I doing with the alignment of these rhythms.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So, that makes a lot of sense. There's that ebb and flow, so to speak, and a woman's energy level is not going to be consistent throughout the month. There's going to be times that she needs to go a little more internal, a little more rest, and this is happening every single month, I guess, in preparation to the bleeding and then during the actual flow. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay.
And
go ahead.
Go ahead. Oh, no, I feel like there's more we can say on this area. I feel like it's important to just make the connection with lifestyle, not just from a perspective or your general approach to it, but where are you not just resting during your cycle, but how much time day to day are you living from a place of deep fulfillment and of rejuvenation and of nourishment. Like I see a lot of women today, like even skipping meals to try to keep up with their work, or booking themselves back to back to back with things and social engagements in order to keep up with whatever is happening in their external world. And a lot of times, like women that come to me with PMS symptoms, it actually can all be corrected just by stabilizing some of their daily nourishing practices. Because if they actually take care of themselves a little bit each day, and they don't keep pouring from an empty cup and trying to give from their fullness, but rather allow themselves to give from their overflow. So they're eating regularly nourishing meals, they're taking time for themselves. Then when the time of their cycle comes to release, there's like a natural, it's more easeful, because it's almost as if the body whispers to you all month long. And if you don't listen to its whispers during the month when you're feeling strong and continually take care of yourself in a nourishing way, then by the time your cycle comes, it hits you like a Mack truck, and it's like, now stop. Mm-hmm. And then oftentimes, that stopping yelling comes in the form of pain, because like if you're not going to stop when the body's like being like, please, let's take some time for us, and it's going to yell at you, and it's going to, cramp up and give you a headache and shut down and make you stop.
Right.
So part of that rhythm is finding what that balance is for you, and it brings a lot more ease when you're able to understand your unique body type and how to nourish it each day of the month.
Mm-hmm. Right. So it's really preventive, and it's really, like you mentioned, just filling your cup up every day so that when there is, that giving, you're able to manage it. You're able to give because you have something to give. You're not giving from an empty place.
Yeah. Or dipping into your own reserves to give. It's like, I'm so filled up, and it's a joyous extension of my overflow to serve you and to give and to show up in those ways.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah.
So important. So such a good message for all women to hear, no matter where you are in your lifestyle, and whether you're preconception, during pregnancy, or after birth. And this is really about self-care. That's essentially what you're sharing with us. And I see a lot of new moms really neglect their self-care as they're adjusting to motherhood. And that's really where getting support in is so important, because, a depleted mother is really is not a good place to be able to give to your new child and to your partner, and it's about being able to take care of yourself first.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. So I know Ayurveda is really powerful for enhancing fertility. Can you share what your top 3 tools or advice would be for women listening of how to prepare for pregnancy?
Yes, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
So number 1, there's a really great practice, and, I don't think you can find much on the web about this. This is something that I even hesitated to share on this interview, but I really wanted women to know that this is out there and that it's a really powerful tool. And it's called Uttara Basti, and it's a little bit of a foreign name, but it essentially is a specific type of formula. It's an herbal formula that is used as a vaginal douche. Mm. And these formulas, now I don't even like to call it douche because it doesn't translate to that, but it's the closest thing in Western thought that we can compare it to. But douching is really bad for your microflora and for the pH balance of the womb and all of that. So I don't recommend that. But there are certain kinds of herbal formulas that are actually infusing the properties of these herbs right into the womb and into the vaginal canal that are, when used at different times of the month, can be great for eliminating, and it depends on the formula and the woman, but there's formulas that are used for aligning the cycles, the menstrual cycle with the moon cycle. There are formulas to use around your ovulation time to enhance your ability to conceive. There are formulas that literally clear up candida in 24 hours. So you don't have to take antibiotics, and you don't have to take these really harsh chemicals if you have a yeast infection. So there's all kinds of different herbal formulas that are naturally balancing to the womb that are also enhance the lubrication. And, when your body is producing healthy lubrication, you have a better chance of conception because you're inviting the sperm into your womb. And it also enhances just fertility in general. So that's one of the best tools for that, and it's one that's very unknown, in Western culture. So that's one of my top ones. And number two, there's a protocol that I use with women that helps them align their cycle with the full moon, not the full moon, the cycles of the moon. So where her menstruation would happen around the new moon, because that's the phase of the moon where we're cleansing and rejuvenating and the energy is really inward, and syncing up their ovulation with the full moon, because it's even shown that women can get pregnant during the full moon. There's been research on this. They can get pregnant on the full moon even when they're not technically in their ovulation cycle. So it's actually really important when I coach women on contraception, how to factor that into the equation to make sure that you're protected and not getting unwanted pregnancy. So on the other side of that, you can actually sync your ovulation up with the full moon, and it heightens your body's ability to conceive naturally. And I know it sounds a little out there, and this is a little more, sounds more of a very subtle kind of concept. But when you think of your daily cycle and being awake during the sunlight and sleeping at night, we're nocturnal creatures, so it makes sense for us to sync those rhythms up. If you've ever been a shift worker or tried to stay up all night and sleep during the day, you know that rhythm, it kind of neutralizes or negates your energy. So similarly, us as women, our hormones are actually synced up with the moon. So just by simply moon gazing and your eyes connecting with the moon, it tells your endocrine system to work a certain way. It's like a circadian. There's a whole body of science called circadian science or circadian medicine, and actually talks about this hormonal connection for a woman's body with the moon. So Ayurvedically, that's something that's looked at as really important and helps you conceive when you can sync up your ovulation with the full moon. And then number 3 comes down to what we started talking about, this yin nourishment. So from an Ayurvedic perspective and in an ideal world, women who want to get pregnant, her and her partner and the father of the child would do a cleanse 6 months before they want to conceive. And they would do this cleanse together, and there's specific protocols for your unique body type, an Ayurvedic type cleanse. And then for 6 months, they would follow their body type appropriate nourishment and rituals and things like that would optimize their ability to conceive a really healthy child and optimize their ability to have an easeful pregnancy and an easeful labor, delivery, and postpartum period. So again, it does come back to this preparation, and there's a cleanse to kind of clear the channels of the body in order to properly nourish the yin, or that building principle of the body. So it's cleanse out, nourish the tissues, make sure you have a really stable foundation for those 6 months in preparation, and that helps the body be in a really strong ability to, a really strong foundation to be able to conceive.
So important.
Those are my top three. Yeah.
Okay. Very cool. And I love, too, that you were just, mentioning, this has come up in other podcast interviews, with preparing for conception, that, fertility takes two. So it's really about, bringing the partner on board and having them also preparing for conception. This is not a woman's only job. And I think a lot of times too much pressure is put on women to, if they're not getting pregnant, for example, if a couple's been trying for a few months and it's been unsuccessful, everyone looks at the woman first, and it's really important that, both partners are really living this healthy lifestyle, cleaning their body out, and working together as a team to prepare for this conscious conception.
Absolutely. Yeah, you're right. It's so underestimated, the contribution of the other half of the DNA for this child.
Yeah.
It is. It's a big part of it. It's a big part of it.
It's 50%, That's definitely a big part.
Yeah. Yeah.
So important.
So,
cool. Thank you for sharing those three really amazing tools. So kind of switching to a different gear, because I know part of the work that you do is also working with women around spirituality. Can you talk a little bit about how a woman embracing her, quote, divine feminine essence, unquote, impact her journey into motherhood?
Great question. Yeah. What I've discovered in my path with Ayurveda and in my own self-healing is that if our mental, emotional, spiritual world isn't really deeply fulfilled and really whole or in alignment for us, then it doesn't really matter the external rituals or practices or food regimens or herbs that we take. This is a true body, mind, spirit approach. And so generally in society today, there's kind of this almost disowning of the feminine and assumption that the feminine is weak and is less than. And, I really believe we have an opportunity as women today to heal the previous generations of our lineage that have endured some of the suffering around that conversation, whether it was sexual abuse, whether it was any other kind of physical, verbal abuse, or whether it was just a silent repression of the feminine inside of a woman's body. Mm-hmm. And, we pass our emotions and our beliefs onto our children. And I feel like one of the greatest gifts a mother can give her child is this fullness. Is this feeling of just total support and safety and nourishment. Because the path of the divine feminine, as we call it the divine feminine, is really just a path of fullness and wholeness. And when you think of whatever your spiritual beliefs are, whether it's you call God or the universe or higher source, Ayurveda looks at the vessel of your body, your being, as a microcosm of all of existence. And so we can choose to embody the fullness of that higher source and that greater power beyond us, and know that we are children of that higher source, and feel the fullness of support and feel the overflow of abundance of that, like as if the feminine aspect of the universe is like the divine mother. And taking that into just our feeling state, whatever that means to you. Like when you think about the most nurturing, loving mother, which I know if you're listening to this, you have that, if you have that innate desire to be a mother. So it's the same kind of feeling that you can bring into your body now and feel just overflowing in that and feel supported and feel healed and whole from whatever pain or suffering came in the lineage of women before you. And you can plant that consciousness into your womb and into your child. And, you know, when you think of the first 7 years of life, like really programming our psyche when we were the first 7 years of life, and what an opportunity for the 9 months of your pregnancy and the first 7 years of your child's life to lead by example of this calm, whole, fulfilled, peaceful, passionate woman. So when I say, you know, I see the value, immense value and importance of this quote-unquote divine feminine essence, this is what I'm talking about. It's her fullness and her fulfillment and her freedom, the freedom of her own spirit to be living truly her highest path and in her greatest contribution to the world around her, and to be that role model for her child, not only passing that on through the womb, but also leading by example for their first 7 years of life and being that loving role model.
Wow. That is so deep, so powerful, and I think so exciting. You know, I'm really hopeful that women that are listening to this are not going to feel overwhelmed and be like, oh, this is not possible for me, because the truth is that this is possible for every single woman who is listening to this interview. And it's about making small steps, small conscious changes in lifestyle and thoughts of how you can move towards this divine feminine essence. You know, it doesn't have to be something out there that's unobtainable, or for, you know, another woman, for example, living next door. This is possible for you. And how, you know, once you have that awareness and you start to look at how you can make these small shifts, it's really exciting that we can really transform culturally, you know, future generations based on this work.
You're so right. It is. It's a cultural transformation. Like, I'm committed to cultivating that message in women today, like this next phase of evolution for us, and in being in a place of wholeness and ease and grace, and tapping into our power from that place. Our power is often misinterpreted as force. Like, for me to be powerful, I have to force and climb and work and struggle, and like true power can actually come from this ease and this grace and this magnetism, and that really is rewriting the story culturally, and we get to embody that as women now when we're conscious of that and aware of that, and we're choosing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it is a choice. I think that's what it boils down to, is we can just kind of subconsciously continue the patterning that we received as little girls the first 7 years of our life based on what our mothers, grandmothers, great-grandmothers, you know, were conditioned and learned themselves, or we can choose a different, you know, lifestyle essentially, or a different path for ourselves, not only to help ourselves, but to really also help our families, our children. And then really based on what our children are learning and their patterning, that will then be translated on for the next generation after that.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so powerful. Cool. So if a woman is looking to find an Ayurvedic practitioner in her area or wants more information, for example, about those 3 tools that you mentioned earlier, wants more details of how to make that, herbal douche, for example, that you mentioned, how can they find a practitioner or work with you directly?
So first, I'll give you my team's personal support email, so you can reach out to me directly if you have any questions, if you want some of the insights more specific to you, either for me to work with you one-on-one, or I have a great network of phenomenal practitioners that specialize in different areas of Ayurveda that I'd be happy to give you their contact info. And not all of them have websites or do a lot online. They just have these thriving practices in different parts of the country. So in order for me to help you distinguish who would be the best practitioner for your situation, you can email me at support@aliciadiaz.co. So that's support at ALICIADIAZ.co. And my website's aliciadiaz.co, and I do have some of these practices posted on my blog there. There's also a great resource. It's the National Ayurvedic Medical Association has a website of a database of professionals. So you can go to, it's ayurvedanama.org. So that's AYURVEDANAMA for National Ayurvedic Medical Association.org. And you can click find a professional and put in your town and find someone close to you. So there's both of those options. And then to learn more about the work that I specifically do with women and this whole conversation of body, mind, spirit, and embracing the divine feminine and aligning your unique rhythms with the rhythms of nature. You can go to my website, aliciadiaz.co, or pathofthesacredwoman.com. Pathofthesacredwoman.com.
Awesome.
Lots of different ways, lots of different resources for you in this arena.
Great. So really, this is just if you are having symptoms or if you're struggling, a lot of times it's hard to self-diagnose and to know what's best for your own individual health and condition. So I, always recommend, finding a qualified practitioner to work with one-on-one so you can really go deep and really quickly, efficiently, and effectively resolve and get your body back into balance instead of trying different things and not getting the right proper results.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, cool. So in closing, I would love if you could share a case study from your practice regarding how you've helped a woman with fertility using Ayurveda.
Sure. Yeah, the first woman that comes to mind, she was trying to conceive her second child. She had a successful first child, but her and her husband were not able to conceive, and they were trying for like a year. And as we dove a little deeper into what was going on for her, there was, one was the perception, was her own, she was creating a lot of tension in her body and she was neglecting her own self-care. So like we had talked about, that yin nourishment and that, I'm taking care of everyone else. I'm taking care of my child. I'm taking care of my husband who was going through law school at the time. It was kind of stressful, and all of her energy was going outward, and she was skipping cycles. And when she did have a cycle, her body was not happy about it. There was a lot of constriction and discomfort for her, so just cramping and bloating and things like that. So we went kind of into the root of that, used some of the protocols that I had mentioned, put a nourishing food regimen in place for her. I taught her some of the principles of how to align her cycle with the moon. Her cycle came back within 2 months. She was ovulating with the full moon, menstruating with the new moon, had easeful cycles, no pain or anything anymore. and her anxiety had melted away. She was taking care of herself, but she was still easefully taking care of her child and taking care of her husband and everything else she had going on. And I want to say it was 3 months. It was 3 months after we'd started working together that her and her husband conceived. And she's having a great pregnancy, like four or 5 months in, and the last time we spoke, she was just glowing, like just so on top of the world. The other thing I actually didn't mention about her, one of the root causes for her was actually after giving birth to her first child, she didn't really take care of herself. There's Ayurvedic protocols for postpartum that she didn't know at the time and didn't follow, and so her energy really struggled for the whole first year after she gave birth, which cascaded into, it was like a year and a half later that she was trying to conceive, and all that stuff happened with her cycle. So yeah, that was a big part of it. But the rejuvenating protocols that we put her on really helped, and she's doing great now.
So cool. I mean, it just sounds like she was really depleted, and certainly trying to get pregnant from a place of depletion physically, mentally, emotionally is not going to be a good environment to, start making a baby, so to speak. So the body is extremely intelligent, and I think, we really have to remember that when things aren't happening the way we expect them to regarding our body, it's just information, and it's a call to action that things need to be shifted and changed in order to get where we want to be. Like, for example, if you're wanting to get pregnant and there's a challenge there, things need to change. You need to perhaps decrease your stress level, certainly increase your nourishment, and physical nourishment as well as emotional nourishment, and really bump up that self-care, because that's really the best place, not only for conception, and that's the other thing I want to point out, is the body will prevent conception if it's not a healthy place to make a baby. So, not only just the goal of getting pregnant, but to really have, like you mentioned, a really healthy pregnancy where this woman is not feeling a lot of symptoms and depletion during the pregnancy that some women go through. Some women feel really horrible during their pregnancy, and that's typically because they're already depleted going into that pregnancy and not maintaining a lifestyle during the pregnancy that's going to fill them up. So this is so important to do this work if you can prior, so that you can actually enjoy your pregnancy and really and connect with your baby while it's in utero from a place of love and connection, as opposed to like, oh, I just want to birth this baby and get this baby out of me because it's depleting me even more.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Such a great point, Laura. Thank you for adding that. So true.
Yeah, it really is. This is such a, it's a finite amount of time in a woman's life during pregnancy, and it's really ideally something that is celebrated and cherished and honored and respected, as opposed to just like, oh, let me just get through this period. And I sadly see that in women that are depleted from their lifestyle, that, of course, if you're making a baby, it's a lot of work. So, it's not about maintaining the lifestyle that you had prior to the pregnancy with your work schedule and social schedule. It's about, how can you take better care of yourself and really feel good? Because it is so cool to me when I see women in my office that actually are feeling so good during their pregnancy, and I want other women to know that this is possible, that you actually don't have to suffer. You don't have to just manage symptoms, but you can actually thrive during your pregnancy. And what a wonderful physical and headspace to then go into birth, going into labor from a place of feeling like amazing, as opposed to, oh, I just want to get this thing over with. And that also can create a whole different psychology during the birth, the labor and birth.
It's so true. And the baby receives that message too, like energetically, like emotionally, right? Without that, that's the language. They don't have words, but they have the language of energetics. So they feel all of that. The child will feel all of that. So what a gift to be able to give your child, again, that calm, that enjoyment of the whole process.
Mm-hmm. I totally agree with that. So this is just all food for thought about, being aware of how thoughts, feelings, emotions, impact our biochemistry, and certainly will impact a baby in utero because they're getting all the same biochemistry that their mother has.
Mm-hmm.
So, well, Alicia, thank you so much for coming on the show today and sharing your Ayurvedic wisdom with our audience. I'm really thankful.
My absolute pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Mm-hmm.
Such an honor, and I look forward to connecting with many of you via email, through my website, and I'm here to serve. So, honor.
So once again, aliciadiaz.co or support@aliciadiaz.co. Reach out to her if you have questions, if you need more individualized care regarding your menstrual cycle or fertility and getting your body back into balance.